thank you so much. It is wonderful to look around the room and see so many sisters, and many that I have not met yet, which is always a pleasure. When you start going to these things, sometimes you end up with a small core group and you wonder, how are we going to expand and how are we going to grow? So it's wonderful that you all made it out today. When we started this, we represent at the AFL 165,000 unionized workers in the province of Alberta. And I was asked to come here to speak about unions and what that has meant to women and labour movement, or to the women's movement. But given what's happened in the last week, I want to concentrate on the public sector workers and what is happening with our government and what they're saying about the public sector and what they're saying, in essence, about women. We had a press release today, and it was called #Prentice Blames Women. Yeah. The public sector is primarily female workers. That's just a fact. We can get into why they're attracted to the public sector, and I think some of it is just given the type of work. And but we can also talk about that these are unionized jobs that have union contracts that protect women from being penalized or demonized because they are women and because of what they have outside of the workplace. And that's really important when we're talking about women at work. We have to look at ourselves as whole people, and we have to deal with women not just about what you make at work, but what are these conditions that ensure that you can go to work not only safely, but so your family is safe, and for that everybody in our society is still taken care of, but not in the essence because you went to work, that there's a problem. So we've been hearing, quite honestly, in the last few weeks, a bunch of, don't want to offend anybody, but a whole bunch of bullshit about our budget and about how the public sector needs to be cut. Public sector workers need to do their part. And somehow we're supposed to look in the mirror and see nothing but the fact that in Alberta, this is an unequal place for women, and we've done enough. So we are really excited when we can get groups of people together, when we can see a trending hashtag that is bringing light to the importance of public sector and then women. So not only are women the primary workers, we are also the ones who can benefit because we are still overwhelmingly the workers, the non-paid workers for our families. And that's what helps women, that's what the public sector is there for. So what Jim Prentice has been saying is that we need to cut the public sector because this is the problem with our budget. And anybody here who has ever dealt with a budget, be it trying to grocery shop for your family or in an organization that you run, you have to look at both sides of the ledger. That's just how it works. It's not science. This is what you do. So they are ignoring the revenue problem. So what they're doing is demonizing women because we will carry the burden of a cut budget on the public sector. And quite honestly, we have not recovered from the 5% years from Klein, so we're not ready for another 9% cut. Woo! So some of the language that we're hearing is not just, so it's all about how bad the public sector is and how wasteful it is, and it's, you know, a whole bunch of lies about that. And one of the things that they're mentioning is that these collective agreements are rich. We hear about gold-plated, all of these words. But I think it's really important to note that public sector workers in the last 3 years have had an 8.8% increase in their wages, when our cost of living has gone up 14%. So these are not rich. And other sectors of our economy, such as construction workers, managers, we've also seen in the finance, have all gotten gains closer or above the cost of living. And it's not because they don't deserve it, they deserve it. But what we don't deserve is that the public sector workers are somehow supposed to not get the same types of gains. So it's about time that we get together and make sure that we protect these public sector workers because that protects women. And I also want to bring light to one other issue, which is what unions do. My time's up. No. What unions do is we try, and there's lots of organizations here that do lots of work. And so the other thing we want to bring light to is what public services and where they need to grow, because they do need to grow. In order for women to go to work, we need to have accessible, affordable, and safe daycare spaces, and we don't have that in this province. Childcare should not cost you 25% of your paycheck, and it should not be a roll of the dice whether you're going to get a spot, and it should not be somewhere where you're not concerned all day long about who is taking care of your children. And the women, men as well, but predominantly women who are doing those jobs, who are taking care of our children, deserve a living wage. And as is the cycle of life, we get to the other end of our career and the other end of our life, and we also need to be taking care of that. And it is women who are doing that unpaid work, and it is women who is doing that paid work, and it is not valued, it is underfunded, and then we have this burden of unpaid work that women predominantly are doing, and we are not supporting it by expanding our public services. So I say to you, let's grow the public services, because women matter, and it's about time that Prentice starts to manage this province and a party that has been a disservice to women for 43 years.